Okay, it's time to get serious, people. In this video, I am going to be delving into the radar and roar techniques of the IC solution and starting something new. Now, real quick, for those of you joining, you really shouldn't even be watching this video until you understand what the IC solution is, what the radar and roar thing, but just in case you'll want to watch my beautiful face anyway, I'm going to give you a real quick overview on what the IC solution is and what the heck I'm talking about. So let me share my screen. Boom. And I'm going to this is the Instinct Center website. These are some of the goals that I'm working on using the IC solution. And we are going to do a radar and roar technique today. But first, what is the IC solution? In a nutshell, I'm going to throw that up on the screen. The IC solution is something that I have used to solve all the biggest problems in my life, mainly huge social anxiety, which led to one of the most deprived cases of alcoholism you could ever see, where I went in and out of detoxes and rehabs 16 times in a desperate state to save my life. And out of it, I came out clean on the other side and with the first notions of the IC solution, and I've developed it so that it can be used for the whole world. And what it is basically taking on, it's taking on it starts by taking on a new perspective. The default perspective of what's going on inside our head is that we are all the thoughts and the emotions, especially the toxic ones that goes on inside our head. So when I was in that case where I had terrible social anxiety and I needed that drink to get rid of it, I thought all of that was coming from me. And I had two conflicting voices in my head. Don't ever drink again or you're going to die. And drink, 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 drink coming from another one. And the drink always worked out because it got louder and louder and louder. Now, the IC solution deals with taking on the IC perspective. Neither perspective is wrong nor right, but this is a simplified new way to look at what's going on inside of your head, where you are no longer all of the thoughts and all of the emotions and all the behaviors that you carry out. You are rather your consciousness along with your conscious brain. And then there's a separate entity I'm calling the IC, the Instinctual Core, which is a culmination of all your survival instincts that are embedded in your DNA that uses your subconscious brain to try and make sense of the world. And it starts working right when you're born, right when you start crying. That's the IC saying, freaking out, saying, what is this world all about? So it starts then, and you don't really come along until about the age of six or so, where your consciousness starts to fully develop. So the whole point of the IC its whole purpose is to have a bunch of instincts that work to save your life. But it wasn't developed for this world. It was developed for a world of 30,000 years ago and before, prehistoric times. It does not know how to work in this world, and it does not know how to adapt. It's not adjusted, and it's not going to change unless you learned how to retrain it. So the IC solution is about taking on this new perspective, and then we start going through the processes to try and look at it as a separate entity, see when it's acting up, dissecting it and retraining it. And I've used it to get rid of the biggest obstacles of my life, and now I'm using it to take on the great life flip. Now here is the IC user's guide, and this is what I've taken from science all over the place to simplify everything into all that the IC does. This is the inside of our head. This is all the sensory inputs that come through. This is where, and these are alarms that get set up by the IC, the instinctual core, that's set off to get us to do stuff. It not only works to make us jump out of the way of buses or saber-toothed tigers, like we kind of think of when we refer to this reactive primitive brain in us, but it is also doing a bunch of other things that it doesn't in a lot of species across the board. And as they get like into the mammal species, it does a lot of these things in all mammals. But for us, it's doing all these things, and it's trying to get us to act, to have an external reaction of avoid the threat, destroy the threat, avoid the threat, or attain the treat. And it uses these weapons, these emotional and mental weapons, to get us to do things. Now, the goal is to go from a life forced by your IC, to a world chosen by you. And we can take care of all these things that it's getting, the physiological, the safety, the belonging, the pecking order, if we handle life up here, but in a much more happier and much more happy and productive way. So that is my quick 3 minute overview of it. And I have no idea if that was 3 minutes or not. We're at 5 minutes. Yeah, about that. So if it wasn't, deal with it. But let's get out of this. Okay. So the goal here is what we're doing. I've already done this exhaustively. Well, I mean, basically, when it dawned upon me that I am not all my thoughts and that there's a separate thing in me, I was able to quit drinking for the first time ever. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life became simple when I started to look at things, life through this way. But today I'm looking at something totally different. And that is to start, which one? Start something new. And that's something new. Now, quitting things when you're using the IC solution actually end up being easier than starting something new. Quitting things when you see the IC acting up and you learn why the IC is getting you to drink, getting you to smoke, giving you anxiety, giving you depression, you can start to say, hey, okay, thanks, buddy, and pat it on the head. But starting something new after after you deal with the emotions, then you've got to launch something from your human side. So I'm going to start to go through the radar. The radar process is the process we use to individually train the instinctual core on a single event, and the roar process is what we use to reactivate your human side. So I'm going to go for each for starting something new, and that's the launch of the IC solution, something I've been working on for years, but I'm really close to launch and getting the last few things in order. And actually, I have launched, but I'm working on getting the marketing done to reach all of you lovely humans out there. So I'm going to start by clicking. I have here at the Instinct Center, I've got my IC goal tracker, and all of you that have been watching this, I've been now using the IC goal tracker live for 10 whole days. Totally new, okay? We finally got this going, and it's coming along pretty fantastically. A couple hiccups here and there, but I've been able to catch them before they became a year-long downslide. And so I'm going to click on radar from this particular overriding decision. An overriding decision is what you decide, hey, this is what's true in my head. Anything else that's going on in the chaos of my subconscious is total nonsense. So I'm going to click on radar on this start something new. Okay, now the overriding decision comes along when you click from there to start something new. At the core of every issue, there is an unwanted reaction within you okay, so the radar process, recognize, ask, dissect, aha, reassign. I'm going to go through each of them with you and what they're doing. Let's expand so you can see it in full form. And again, if you're totally new to the IC solution, a lot of this will not make any sense at all, but if you've already been through the Quick Start Guide and some meetings in the IC University, then this is going to be a great learning experience for you. If you haven't, you might get a little more interested and want to go through those things. Okay, but it's a great way to make any changes in life. Okay, at the core of every issue, okay, so what we're doing in the recognize step is I'm recognizing the emotions that are going on with starting something new. And what I've been having trouble with is getting down to the nitty gritty of all the items I've got to go through and giving them my complete focus. And that's because there is a chaos going. This is the first time I've ever developed a new solution to help save the whole world. I know that's kind of pushing it. It's not really going to save the whole world, but hopefully it'll take off and save other people because with all the methods out there, I was dying. I couldn't do it. And this, I know it's going to resonate with some of you out there. So the unwanted internal reaction is fear and doubt. Basically, it all boils down to fear and doubt. Like, I'm doing all these things for the first time. And so rather than being totally engrossed in making it from one step to the next step, I can't get totally focused because there's these hits of fear, anxiety. Is this right? Is this, and perfectionism? But it boils down to fear and doubt. And so I'm going to click fear, and everything that goes on can be boiled down. I haven't found this, and I'm happy to help with any of these, can be boiled down to these elemental emotions. And this is all scientifically based. There's studies showing that all emotions boil down to these five. And stress is a combination of kind of these four over here. And then there's cravings, demands, and judgments, where are just thoughts that the instinct kind of um, snap thoughts, snaps judgments, snap demands that the uh, subconscious brain is able to send and try and get you to respond to. So fear, as I said, is holding me back, and then the demands and the judgments. That's kind of the doubt part, saying you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? Going off on your own and doing something, trying to give other people advice when you're at the bottom. Well, we'll get into that part. And the intensity right now, as I'm getting better with it, but it's just the intensity isn't that great, but it's enough to throw me off kilter when I'm trying to get totally engaged, totally focused, totally in flow, totally in the zone. It's enough. It's kind of like a phone, right? Where it just keeps on ringing, ding, ding, ring. I shut off my phone, but I don't shut off the inside of my head. That's what I'm learning to do here. Can you identify the input that triggered the reaction? It's not, there is no particular thing. These random thoughts and fears and doubts just jump up at any time. So you don't need to fill in that part you don't need to know that every single time. Now the ask step is unique to this process, because what we want to remember every time we go through the radar process is that we are going along with the experiment of seeing ourselves as separate from the instinctual core, seeing that as a separate intelligence inside our head that's kind of working as a co-pilot, but totally malfunctioning co-pilot that's kind of leading us astray. It's not like that. I see the way I see it is that the subconscious is our autopilot, right? That's keeping us on track, but there's a separate co-pilot that's trying to put in the wrong directions into the autopilot, because this is coming from our DNA. It has nothing to do with our conscious awareness. It's totally outside of our outside of our conscious awareness, embedded so far in the subconscious that it's pretty much unconscious. It just happens. But when it tries to force an emotion on us, tries to force thoughts on us, and tries to get us to do something, that's when we can notice it and say, hey, this is coming from somewhere down below. And so we're asking ourselves, are we ready to investigate if it was the instinctual core that's behind this? So that's what opens us up to the whole world. And the goal with radar is to find the connection from all these inputs, alarms that are being set off, to the three external reactions that the IC is trying to connect to, either to get us to avoid a threat. And threats don't involve just tigers and storms and snakes. Threats involve conflicts in our tribe. Threats involve conflicts with external tribes, social interactions, because back in those days, they could get us killed. Now we feel like we're really angry at a neighbor, but because we have some dispute over whatever. But the truth is that anger comes from a place of safety, because if someone in the tribe is trying to get dominance, so there's no set of laws that's going to stop that tribal member or someone from a different tribe from killing you or getting you thrown out of the tribe. Kind of like that very basic show Survivor. And that's the way it was back then. No one can throw you out of the tribe of the world here. And there's so many different tribes you can join anyway. It doesn't matter. Back then, if you got kicked out of your tribe, you died. The instinctual core within us does not care if we get laughed at, does not care if we make $1 trillion. It cares about our survival, but it sees those things as ways in this world to make sure we survive, because it sees the billionaires and it wants to be able to move up to $1 billion. Just one example. Okay, but for me, and this deal, it's like when I'm feeling the doubt of what I'm doing, it's coming from usually coming from the pecking order layer. I'm an engineer. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I've created a system, okay? But I've followed all the scientific logic and I've created a system to make it easy. But there's times when I say, where the instinctual core says, who the hell are you thinking you can give other people opinions when you don't have these medical degrees, when you don't have your PhD? What I have is an engineering degree, which is a way to solve problems. And I've been in the trenches. I understand alcoholism better than anyone. And now I'm starting to understand this whole system. better than anyone. So I know I can give advice to people that are like-minded like me, and there's so many of us suffering from all sorts of things. And there's a lot of different solutions out there, and I know this is going to be right for some people. So what it's trying to get me to do is to avoid the threat. It's trying to say, cut out this work. Go do something else. You don't know how to do it right. You're not good enough. And it's also here on the IC evaluation layer saying that no, you've failed in life because of a lot of that came from spending those 8 years as a complete total alcoholic. It told me I was no good. But that's a whole bunch of past stuff. I'm just getting into kind of what's going on with this particular situation when I lose focus. And it's just like a notification coming up on your phone. It's like a notification saying, don't, no, that's not right. You're not good enough. Just run away. And then once you make a connection from here to here, you've got it. Boom. Oh, and there's one more question. Although these may have been true survival requirements 30,000 years ago, like not getting out of your position in the pecking order because you could get killed, do they present an imminent threat to your survival today? Hell no. In fact, if we don't get out of our position in the pecking order, we might not ever get a chance to be heard. Okay, so aha, aha. And that's where you see this yellow line embarks, yes, you've been hijacked. It's every time it tries to distract me, it's hijacking me. And then these different things, aha, are to help ingrain it into your subconscious a little further. So every time you catch it, next time it comes back a little less. Does the activation make sense? Is there really a threat to my life because of the pecking order? No. Does the internal react? Is this fear? Are these demands? Are the judgment helping me at all? Does the external reaction make sense for me to run away? Is it making me any happier? All that stuff that's going on? No. It's toxic to my life. And the logic of being stuck in that pattern, not being able to focus fully, does that help at all? And are the beliefs that it's trying to throw at me that I'm not good enough any helpful? So you don't need to fill out all of these things all the time. And each person, you can individualize what these aha moments mean to you. But it's good to impress it as far as you can. And then finally, for this one, it's the reassign step. And that's where we say, okay, we're no longer going to be held hostage to the instinctual core, and we're going to move this over to the human side. And that's where we let those feelings pass through, and then we're going to move on to the roar process to see how we do the same thing but more effectively in the roar area. But let's finish off this radar, and that's because it depends. Like, this doesn't always need to be done, especially when you're moving right onto a roar. But those feelings of fear and doubt, you should watch them and see that you're separate from them and let them settle down. And I'm kind of in the continuous state of that process my whole life. And so I can quickly see them now. But what I'm going to try and do today as I get into my focus, try to catch it each time. And we have this thing called the radar quick catch, where we don't need to go through this whole process each time, where I've already done it enough times in my life where I can go through my head and just say, stop. There's no fear. There's no fear and doubt are unhelpful here. I know what you're trying to do, little instinctual core, but I'm going to move on with progress and in happiness. So that is the radar process. Congrats on a successful instinctual core training session, which is what I just did. Now I'm going to jump on to the roar session. And this first step is to reassess. And I have a situation where all alarms are being set off, and all weapons are being sent up to me to try and achieve all the things, and it's just the default because this will include everything, right? So the desired outcome is to fully focus on a single element, and I have that all of the watch. Fully focus. Are you ready to turn this cumbersome obstacle run by your instinctual core to an efficient, exciting, enjoyable project led by you? Yes, I am. Okay, so now we're going to run it up here. We're going to run it through the human side. This is called the reactivating your human side. for me, when I was stuck in the depths of alcoholism, I was everything I did, I was forced to do it because I thought I was no good, and I had to, I was a total slave to the instinctual core, telling me I'm no good and trying to do everything I could to get better until it just told me, uh, just the only way to actual solution is alcohol. It was a horrible life and trap that I was stuck in. Okay, so now we want to move it all life's activities, and that's what the Great Life Flip is all about, through the layers of human happiness. And that involves with intrigue. And so I'm just going to, can you make it interesting or enticing? Yes, absolutely. Like every little part of this project can be, I can find a way to make it like a puzzle I'm going to solve, a little, instead of a overcomable obstacle, an achievable task and getting through it. And I also find interest in the whole thing. Appreciation. I love what I'm doing. And when I'm not letting the instinctual core tell me that it's filled, there should be fear and doubt and samurai swords and samurais trying to kill you. You know, that's, I say the samurai trying to kill you, but that's kind of what the instinctual, it's sending fear in the same way it would send fear as if someone was trying to kill you for something like jumping out of your position in the pecking order, or for something like your need to be loved, or for something like you're not a billionaire, you're not good enough. So that's what, when you overcome those hesitations and doubt, you can start moving into these realms and appreciation. This working on the IC solution. This is my passion. This is what I want to do for my life. And engagement. Okay, so the engagement is, can you turn it into a worthy challenge is the question, but really engagement comes fully in the action step when you try to your best to fully focus on the a single focused action on the one task that you're trying to overcome. Is there self-improvement in this? And you don't need to click off on all of these. If you just found engagement or just found intrigue, that's it. For me, self-improvement, this is how I self-improve myself. So absolutely. Or even if, like, if you're at your job, if self-improvement and you're bringing home a paycheck, then absolutely. Um, but there's lots of things you can engage on in this world that don't need to involve self-improvement at all, and still is a path to happiness. Because life is, I find that life and happiness in life comes not through the gaining of material goods to gain gratification from the instinctual core for and a shot of pleasure for achieving something, but it's in running the race. And it sounds kind of cheesy, but it really is being able to fully engage in things that you love, or being able to fully engage even in things that you don't love. That's where true happiness comes from. And then finally, purpose. Yeah, absolutely. This is a purpose to try and help other people. We're not there yet. This is just day 2 that I've finally had everything, day 10 that I finally had everything ready for the launch, but we're going to get there. So I've got all things lighting up. Then we move to organization. And yeah, I don't need to get into this, but basically, I just like to say, what's the easiest way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I've already organized the heck out of what I'm trying to do, so I know which little projects I'm going to be moving into. Today, I'm just finding the quickest way to get videos over from here, posted on YouTube, and getting them over to the website. And then I'm going to bring over some blogs that I've done in the past on a different section. And then if I get to it, I'm going to try and do my first YouTube short, because my videos are kind of long right now, and they'll just be about a summary. So those are the 3 things I have to do today. If I get to the first 2, fantastic. But I'm already organized, and organization is so important, because not only are you, when you're trying to move into single focused action, organization is key, because if you don't know what to do next and then after that, and you don't know what to be fully focused on in this appointment at this portion of time, then there's a lot of demands and judgments being shot up saying, what are you doing? You're doing the wrong thing. You should be doing this instead. So you need to know what it is you're doing right now. Next is the action. Okay. And because I'm going through the video, I'm not going to do this, but you set an allotted time, how long you're going to spend completely focused on this. If you can't do it now, you start this when you can. You shut off every single possible notification that you can, except for there's some that you can't, like if you're If you have a child that's at school, you got to make sure that you get a call from that whatever. But you shut off all the unnecessary distractions that you can. And I'm going to set a lot of time, just as an example, for 3 seconds where I get fully engaged, and then I start the stopwatch. I'm fully, and that's when the new external reaction pops up. And congratulations, I completed my allotted time. But then we have a set a lot of time and then a stopwatch rather than a countdown, because there's going to be times when you get so transfixed and in the zone that you go well beyond the focused allotted time that you achieved for, and that's great. But then it switches over here from the only three things that the IC wanted out of life, to the whole bandwidth of everything that we can enjoy, that a human can actually engage in life. And I know it's pretty lame logo, but icons, but I'm over it. Finally, we come to the reward, and this is not just giving yourself a big piece of cake afterwards. This is when the IC, this guy down here, starts to see, hey, you're figuring out how to do all this stuff through a much happier method. Did you stay on task for the allotted time? And it sends you that gratification that I used to get from alcohol. It sends me a hit of pleasure. Did you stay focused through the majority of the project? More pleasure. Did you finish the intended project? I sure did, and it sends more pleasure. It's like, and these checkoffs are just helpful ways to get kind of those dopamine hits for doing things through the method of growth, where you can continue to get pleasure from them, rather than the immediate gratification of you get by getting that drink, which immediate gratification is like, okay, now you did it, now go get more, now go get more. This is sustainable, and you can live life this way on a much more elevated plane. So that, and then finally submit, and you get to see the before, the full-blown IC reaction, to after. Your actions forced by your instinctual core, your actions driven by you. And that is how you go about your radar roar on a single incident, and how you go about changing your entire life. So, with that said, uh, let's move on.